Welcome to Taking Care of Business on News Talk 1180 KERN for the best in Saturday Talk Radio at 1 o'clock and on 1230 KGEO at 10 o'clock Saturday, and for the best in Wednesday Talk Radio on 1410 Carry the Christian Station. We're now on 1000 KKIM in Albuquerque, New Mexico, and also 3 times a week on the internet nationwide through knookmedia.com. Plus, you can catch any of our shows for the last 4 years now on the internet at the Clay and Marty Show. I'm Marty Pay. My partner Clay Kerner's in Sacramento, talking to legislators all week. And our producer's Greg Held. We had a great show last week with our old friend Catherine Anspaugh from the Make-A-Wish Foundation, who's going to have Lieutenant Colonel Ollie North on at a fundraiser June 5th. And then we had our old friend, the Hollywood reporter, James Herson, talking about Sharia law and the Beverly Hilton Hotel. But today we've got another great show lined up. In the second half, we've got an old friend of the show, Wendy Porter from the Wounded Heroes Fund. But right now by phone, we have a gentleman we had on the show earlier this year, author of a great new book, Taxifornia, James Lacy. Jim, welcome back to Taking Care of Business.
It's a pleasure to be with you again, Marty.
Well, we had fun last time, and I was hoping Clay was going to be here, but we're going to have to do this again later on this year and have you back on when Clay's around.
Hey, I'm happy that Clay's up in Sacramento. We need to have some voice of reason up there.
Well, you know, I'll tell you, that's one nice thing we have here in Kern County. We've got a couple of great Assembly and Senate people up there. We've got Shannon Grove in the Assembly and Gene Fuller in the State Senate, and they're a couple of the very few voices of reason up there. And you're right, there isn't too many voices up there that make any kind of sense anymore.
No, I think the area is well represented, but you know, the terrible economics of the state are really evident in the Central Valley. We have our unemployment at 7.8% statewide, which is, although it's going down a little bit, it's still much higher than the national average. But in that Central Valley area, all the way up, from Kern County all the way up to Sacramento and points north, unemployment is in very significant patches at 10%. I mean, it's very significant. And the other aspect that we have is that the poverty rate has been increasing under the Liberal Democrats' control with the raising of the taxes, raising of the consumption taxes. And there's a lot of pockets of very significant poverty throughout the Central Valley that the Democrats are not addressing. So it's good that we have good representatives in your area, but to be quite honest with you, the current almost dictatorial control, all 8 constitutional offices controlled by Liberal Democrats, 2/3 majorities in both houses of the legislature, only coming down in the state Senate because of the Rainbow Coalition of corruption there.
Yes.
Has really caused economic havoc in this state, and it's really exemplified by the poor economy in the Central Valley, so we really need strong attention there.
Oh, yeah, no question about it, Jim. You know, you've touched on a couple things there I'd like to talk about. One is the poverty rate, and last time I had you on the show, I remember we were talking about, I guess California has the largest poverty rate in the country, and you were saying the poverty rate as measured is around 24%. Can you explain how it's that high?
Yeah, it has everything to do with the high cost of living in California, but, you know, some context is important. It was a little over 50 years ago that Lyndon Baines Johnson, LBJ, declared a war on poverty in 1964. And this war on poverty was the beginning of so many of the different welfare programs that have allegedly attempted to address poverty. This includes food stamps, this includes aid to families with dependent children, it includes the whole federal welfare system and transfer to the states. Now, when LBJ thought that poverty was so bad that he had to declare a war on it, the national poverty rate was 20%. That was our starting point on fighting the war on poverty and the trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars, taxpayers' dollars, that have been spent over that time to address poverty issues. Well, we still have poverty today, 50 years later. And in fact, the poverty rate in California, after these last 2 years of total Democrat control in the state, is 20% higher than the poverty rate in the nation was in 1964 when LBJ started the war on poverty. The poverty rate today in California is the highest in the nation. It's never been higher. It's 24%, and it has everything to do with the high tax, high regulation, low job growth policies of the people that are controlling Sacramento. The poverty rate in California is tied to the cost of living. Now, we all know that the cost of housing in California is going to be probably more expensive than the cost of housing in many other states.
You think?
Because we have a terrific weather. We have a great climate. We have a desirable state. We have beaches, lakes, mountains, and just a beautiful, wonderful temperate climate in comparison to other states. So as a result of that, California is a desirable place to live. So housing's more expensive. With housing being more expensive, it means that the cost of living in California to begin with, before you even figure in what they do with the taxes, is going to be high. But here's where the liberal Democrats are screwing the poor people, exactly the people that they pretend that they want to represent. They have raised the gas tax, which is a consumption tax. They have raised the state sales tax under Proposition 30 to the highest state sales tax in the nation. They have raised alcohol and tobacco consumption taxes. They have put taxes on cell phones. They have put taxes on utilities. Republicans aren't doing that. Liberal Democrats are doing it. And when you consider all of these very high taxes on consumption, you know, when a person who's economically challenged has to go get a job, they have to, or interview for a job, they have to have transportation. And if the transportation is a result of paying very high gas prices, and within that gas price, the highest state sales tax on gases in the nation, it's going to hurt the bottom line. So the liberal Democrats are creating poverty in California by lifting the cost of living well above what it needs to be. If you already have a high cost of living, rational thinking politicians ought to be thinking about policies that don't increase the cost of living, but rather reduce the cost of living and help people get jobs. And, Marty, that's why we have so much poverty today in California. It has everything to do with the liberal Democrats in control.
Jim, you said rational thinking politicians. That's an oxymoron. We're having a conversation with James Lacy, author of Taxifornia, Liberals' Laboratory to Bankrupt America. And that's exactly what it is. Very, very well put. So, you know, I saw a survey the other day that I thought was interesting. When I saw it, I was thinking of you. The top 10 states, as far as growth in the country, are all run by Republicans. And the bottom three, California, Illinois, and New York, have all been run by Democrats for a long, long time. Any comment on that?
Well, I think that there's no question that the liberal Democrats' philosophy in state houses is really contrary to economic growth. And I think this is why Taxifornia and what I write in my book has an appeal that's beyond just Californians or chronicling for Californians what's going on. Now, I didn't write Taxifornia because I wanted people to move out of California to those red states. But I do have to say that we can reform California, and we should reform California to try and keep the jobs in the state. You know, an example of all of this is with Apple and with Toyota, and I'll start with Apple. Apple's a tremendous company. It's been based in Cupertino, California. It's created a lot of wonderful jobs in the San Francisco Bay Area, and it's participated in keeping unemployment fairly stable there and keeping high-income people going into San Francisco Bay Area. But the reality is that when they announced in late 2012 that they were going to reopen a manufacturing facility in the United States, they chose Texas, not Cupertino or California, to place that manufacturing facility. It has everything to do with the fact that California's taxes are too high, that we have really tough regulations for businesses to deal with. Workers' compensation insurance is very expensive for businesses. We're a very litigious state, and the state legislature continues to impose regulation after regulation. In the case of Toyota, it became absolutely essential for them. Toyota recently announced that they're moving over close to 5,000 jobs out of their Torrance facility. They've had a presence in L.A. County since 1957, but they're going to move most of those jobs to Texas, and it has everything to do with the fact that the taxes are too high and the regulations are too high.
Wow.
There's plenty of anecdotal information about jobs and high-income individuals fleeing the state, and when businesses flee the state, when companies like Campbell Soup, I don't know if you know this, Marty, but for over 100 years, the Campbell's tomato soup that we all enjoyed as children and today was mostly made at a soup plant in Sacramento, California.
I didn't know that.
That plant was closed 2 years ago because of the high taxes in California and the high regulations. They not only closed down the plant, they've just finished auctioning off all of the machinery in it, so nobody came in to take its place. And now the Campbell's tomato soup that we drink comes from tomatoes from New York and southern states and is made by other workers. So here's a historic soup plant that was open over 100 years that's gone.
Jim,
it's gone because of the terrible business climate. As you know, the CEO magazine just recently, for the 10th year in a row, determined that California was the worst state in the nation to do business in because of these regulations.
No surprise. Let's pick up there when we get back from the break, Jim, okay?
Yeah.
We'll be back in a moment on Taking Care of Business on Current Radio, News Talk 1180.